The Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo is out, and if you've not played it already, I would highly recommend you check that out before watching this video because there are spoilers. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we first start off in the demo as Cloud, per se. However, we can see by the trooper's hair that he is blonde. Now, veterans of the game will know that this is actually Cloud, and we are actually Zack in this demo, even though we look like Cloud. So that is out of the way, and to start with, we're going to be going over the Zack kind of appearances and how he is kind of dissected within this demo. So, of course, we have this start with the truck that we're in. So we have this, and then of course we've got Cloud doing his squats just like Zack would do when he was part of Shinra. We also get another similar thing like this a bit later on as we're going up Mount Nibel, and that is where Cloud will do squats again just to kind of show his strength and show his like endurance while he's with Sephiroth and Tifa. Now, next up, another reference to Zack is when Cloud says to Sephiroth, while approaching the reactor, he says, "Do you want to say any words to your sword?" This is in reference to Zack at the end of Remake and at the end of Crisis Core, where he would hold his sword up and just basically say, "Embrace your dreams as soldier." Because this is what Angeal used to always say to Zack, and this would basically be Zack's whole kind of motto: embrace your dreams as soldier, and he would always say it to Buster Sword in remembrance to Angeal, which was his best friend. Now, as well, we can also slightly hear Zack's voice actor as soon as we get into Nibelheim. So the guard on the right hand side, if you speak to him, he will have Zack's voice actor just kind of say a few lines.
So, any friends here you want to see? Maybe a girlfriend? Speaking of which, I'll bet you're dying to hear about mine. Am I right?
And I think that is quite interesting that they've actually swapped the characters, because we know, if you've played all the games, that Cloud is the Shinra troop. However, it is actually Zack's voice actor there rather than Cloud's, which is quite interesting. Another thing as well is while Sephiroth is burning down Nibelheim, the soldier on the floor is actually Cloud. Now, if you can remember in Chapter 2 of Remake, you see a little scene where Cloud is on the ground saying "Mum," and now the soldier is the one saying "Mum." So that is something that they've done a reference over to the previous part, which I thought was quite interesting, and it's something that I noticed in my first playthrough as well, which is quite nice. Another callback is the kids in the area in Nibelheim. They are singing a song about Stamp, so that's kind of showing the timeline that they're in, because I've heard a lot of things where Stamp is the kind of timeline, like it's how you recognize Cloud's timeline. So I thought that was quite interesting that they're thinking about it. Another reference from Remake is the little reunion flower outside of Tifa's house, just outside of a letterbox. It's just hung up there, and it just signifies the reunion between the two characters. Like, it shows that there is a kind of resemblance between it. Another reference that I also found on my first playthrough was the kids inside of the inn. They give off the same kind of vibes as the two kids that you saved with Aerith in Chapter 8. Now, they've got the same kind of awkwardness as kids, and just, you know, the little squealy thing. It's just, you know, they've got the same kind of ideas about their speech. Now, you also get to see a ruby weapon inside the inn. It's just hung up behind the reception desk, so you can see that, and that's a callback into the original game where you can see the weapon posters. Now, another kind of humorous element to it is Cloud will mention about Mako poisoning, and I found that quite funny considering the events.
Don't want to get Mako poisoning.
Now, you can also see by the party level that both characters are actually level 40, whereas in the original game, Cloud was level 1 and Sephiroth was level 50. So you can also see by the stats that even though they're both the same level, they're not exactly the same strength. So Cloud, obviously you can see behind me, you can see that his attack, his magic, you can see all of them stats. Whereas if we go over to Sephiroth, you can see that the comparison is much larger. Sephiroth's strength in his attack is almost double of what Cloud's is, which shows his real true power. And this is good, because in the original game it was like Cloud was such a low level. However, it wasn't Cloud, it was actually Zack. But Zack is first class, so there shouldn't have been that power differentiation, which I think this is really showing, because Zack is also a high level character, but he's not nearly as strong as Sephiroth was, which is what they've tried to prove in this, I'm guessing anyway. Now, something else that I found as well is when we're back in Nibelheim, when Sephiroth is burning down the village, you can see that Cloud is on the ground again, and Claudia, so Cloud's mum, is basically saying these lines, and these lines, we've heard them before, and that is again in chapter 2 of Remake, where Sephiroth is kind of repeating what his mum has said to kind of torment and get in Cloud's head. And I feel like because they planned that so far in advance when they did Remake and they've brought it into this game, it shows how much structure they've actually put and how much thought they've put into this game, and I think it works really well with each other. But that is it for today. So if you like this style of video, it's a bit different to what I usually do, but make sure to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you're aware when my next video comes out. But without further ado, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.